Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to a new session of Rise of the Dark Avatar, a Avatar Legends actual play. My name is ELH, I'm a VTubing Game Master, and as I keep saying at the top of these things, yeah, it's a new avatar, and if you don't like it, leave me a comment, because that's still engagement on the video, and I still win in the end, so ha. Anyway, I just have a few quick things to say before we get started proper. First thing is that, assuming everything works out, we're going to be weekly from this point on. You know, of course, if, someone's really absent or, someone needs to be out, or hell, if I need to be out. But, in general, we're going to be weekly from now on, so look forward to that. The other thing I should say is that, for those of you that watch my streams in general, there's going to be a lot more streams in the future. Of course, graphics card willing, knock on wood. But that's a whole nother discussion. I can go into it another time. I don't know. You guys got any announcements, things you want to shout out before we get to introductions and things like that? Anything? No? All right. Cool. Well, let's do player introductions so everybody can put voices to characters or faces to characters, and we'll get started. So, Aaron, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Aaron. A lot of you who are regulars here, you probably know me by now, or at least recognize me. I'm playing Lu Songshi, the Earthbender, and member of the Dai Li. On Tuesdays, I play Captain Williams on Star Trek Euthenia.
Hello everyone, my name is Darewolf Gaming 88 on Twitter and Twitch. You may notice that my voice is a bit hoarse today. That's because I'm ill, but I'll be all right. I play Shazo Lee, and on Tuesdays, I also play a kitty cat named Sarus, so life is good. Anyway, on to the next person.
Can't beat a kitty cat, but hello everyone, my name is Matthew. I've been a regular on ELH's channel for the last 2 years. In this game, I play the waterbender Amaruk, a female sort of successor from a crime family in Republic City, the Twin Moons. And I also play Truman Vizeth on Tuesdays in Euthenia with these fine gentlemen.
Love it. All right, well, to get things started proper, Benno, take it away.
Water, air, fire, earth. Mastery of all four elements has always been associated with the ability to bring balance to the world. But Avatar Aang has passed away, and the new Avatar has yet to be found. In this transitional era of rapid progress and technological wonder, the world must come to rely on a new force to maintain the balance between humanity and spirits, between light and dark, yin and yang. Rava's followers would tell you that this new dark Avatar should be locked away without question. Yet as a certain wise man will tell you, light and dark cannot exist without one another. There is light in the darkness, and darkness in light. Can the dark Avatar truly keep the balance? Only time will tell.
All right, and welcome back. So, the first recap of the new year. When we last left off with our intrepid group, they had just arrived at the city of Daraka, and they discovered that the city was in the middle of a festival, or at least the preparations for a festival. And everything was going all right, the players were able to, get a lay of the land. They were able to reach out, start to get some food, kind of figure out what was going on with their charge Ying. And then Shazo ran into his estranged brother, or maybe it's better to say Shazo's the estranged one. Unfortunately, that confrontation did not go as well as one would hope, but the good news is the players walked away from it. But this in turn prompted Amaruk to start looking into things, and Amaruk learned that apparently there was a twin moon logging operation nearby that was threatening the balance with the spirits. And getting together, the players decided to more or less go and, shall we say, interrupt or destabilize these logging operations. And it was going all right. Shazo was able to get a match with his brother in Agni Kai. Lu Song, Shi, and Ying were able to destroy some of the mining equipment and things of that nature, and Amaruk was able to get in and steal some resources and information from the main tent. But then things started to go off the wire, or off the rails. And very quickly, all three characters, Lu Song, Shi, Shazo Li, Amaruk, all found themselves in dire straits. And at the climax of this moment, there was a burst of energy and a blast of air from Ying, and she began to bend all four elements at once as her eyes glowed a baleful orange, and everything whited out for our characters. Now, that whiteout is not just a narrative tool, it is quite literally what happened. It's the very last thing you all remember is Ying rising up in her dark avatar state, and then everything goes white. And when white returns, or white fades away, you're not where you once were. In fact, and I'll describe it for those who aren't in Foundry, you all find yourselves in a strangely colorful world. You're seeing trees that are more wild, more colorful than usual trees. Instead of just greens and reds and yellows, you're seeing blues, you're seeing purples, you're seeing vibrant reds, you're seeing almost like neon pinks. You see mushrooms that are practically human-sized. You see vines that are swinging back and forth and seem to chitter with almost this sentience to them. And in general, you again have no idea where you are. You are deep within some kind of wilderness. Now, when you look around, you of course see each other, but Ying is not with you. You are just you three waking up in a small clearing amid this wilderness. Now, you have all your possessions came with you, but again, you have no idea what just happened or why you're here.
I think that rubbing her arm where she was being held by Varnus, the associate of her mother's in the Twin Moon, Amaruk is just going to look around, somewhat stunned. What on earth just happened?
Shouting with a furiosity and anger, Shazo will scream, "Where is my brother? Where did he go? What is happening? Where are we?" And just is like angrily stomping around.
And I think Lou, as he sort of gets to his feet, dusts himself off, looks at his other companions and realizes that Ying is not with them, begins to call for her.
All right. So, Lu Songshi, you call for Ying. Shazo, you're screaming, "Where's your brother?" And if anything, you all start to hear these like whispers and these almost not quite words, but still vocal sounds that sound like words. It's kind of that unnerving thing where your brain's trying to put them into a language you understand and you almost get it, but then your brain stops because it doesn't make sense syllabically. Syllabically, that's a word. But it's one of those things where you can't pinpoint where the voices are coming from. It seems to be coming from all around you at once. And it gets louder and louder and louder. And I'm just curious, how would you all react to that? Would you be backing sort of back to back into a tight circle? Would you be lashing out? What is it you're going to be doing as these voices get louder?
Shazo, in the state that he's in, would lash out.
Okay. So, what's going to happen is, I'm imagining firebending. Okay. You go for a classic sort of fire punch, and when you do, nothing happens. You literally just throw a punch, no fire comes out.
Keeps trying, getting more and more angry.
Still, nothing. You kick, you flail, maybe even yell, kind of that Azula scream. Still no fire.
I think at that, Lou will sort of come up behind Shazo and put a hand on his shoulder and go, "Don't."
Shazo will sink down to his knees, place his face into his hands, and will cry, mumbling, "I'm sorry I failed you again, Father."
And hearing that, but sort of trying to do perhaps the macho thing where he pretends not to hear that, or pretends not to see that, Shazo is upset, just sort of gives him a couple of pats on the shoulder and turns to Amarok and says, "Any idea where we are? Anything on the maps?"
And sort of glancing back and forth between the two men, seemingly torn between a sense of wonder at the environment and a desire to move towards Xiaozhou to attempt to comfort him. She tries to examine the mushrooms that are growing in the distance. Do I recognize them, or do I recognize anything from any of the books that I've read about flora and fauna?
So that is something that I actually was going to let you decide on, because you have both a special move, and we could do a normal rely on your skills and training here, but it has been a while, so I'll remind people. So if I remember correctly, you had, where is the icon? There it is. You had Otter, Penguins, Unagi, and Hot Springs, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I would let you do an Otter, Penguins, Unagi, and Hot Springs. That would be a harmony. But if you would like to instead rely on your skills and training, that would be with focus.
Yeah, I think that this would be more relying on skills and training, because I'm not sure what this area is, so I'm not anticipating finding anything. It's more identifying it.
All right, well, let's see what happens. First roll of the new year. Hopefully it's a good one.
Let's see.
Oh, and you do have one forward, by the way, from chat, if you want to add it.
Range of your roll.
You should just, I don't think they changed anything. It should be, did they? Is it not rolling
I
for
clicked
you?
on focus, and then I get bonuses or penalties, and I click roll, and it's not...
Okay, hold up. Quick troubleshooting here. We might have to roll manually. Hold on.
Oh, there we go. Just rolled 3 times.
Oh, no, there you go.
It is a little delayed.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll be nice, and we'll take that full hit. Yeah, Amarok, you only have seen that mushroom in one place before, and it was one of those kind of old scrolls that, nobody really paid attention to because nobody paid attention to the Spirit World teachings. But yeah, that's a Spirit World mushroom, and for it to be here, either you're very, very close to a spirit portal, or you're actually there in the spirit world.
For a moment, as that recognition registers, there's a glimmer of that old Amarok, her joviality, her excitement, her joie de vivre coming to the forefront as she grins, and then it falls into a kind of melancholic uncertainty as she goes back to rubbing the bruises on her arm. I think we're in the spirit world, or adjacent to it. This is absolutely incredible.
How?
Your guess is as good as mine. We're dealing with bizarre, impossible avatars and spirits that are outraged. Perhaps they were responsible for transporting us here.
Well, we have to find a way out. But before we find a way out, we have to find Ying.
And she then glances over at Xiaozhou, still on his knees, grimaces, and says, "From what I know of the spirit world, it's reactive. It responds to our thoughts, the projections of our emotions. We have to be careful not to let ourselves get lost. Psychological, emotional, spiritual, well, it becomes the physical here."
And if you allow me to interject, because you've just said something very, very important. The voices, there's two now distinct ones. One's very much a playful pixie, which I would do a voice for, but you'd hate me for it, so I'm not going to do the voice for the pixie. And then there's more like, almost like a bear voice. But the pixie voice goes, "Oh, look at them. They're oh so worried they can't bend. That one's throwing a fit about his father. Oh, it's so adorable." And then the deeper, bear voice says something along the lines of, "Well, they don't belong here. They are intruders upon this land. We should deal with them." "Oh, no, let's play with them some more." and they just start to have a conversation around you, is what I would say.
Are you spirits?
For those who worried, that moment of silence was deliberate, because as that conversation's going on and the players remain silent, and you then say that Lu Songshi, the voices stop, and the bear voice says, "Oh, so you can actually communicate in a way that we'd understand." And stepping out from the forest around you is a giant bear mixed with some form of frog. It's a frog bear. And it's semi-translucent. I mean, you kind of can see slightly, like I would say like a 70% opacity. You can kind of see somewhat through it, but not all the way through it if you're following my drift. And the bear kind of doesn't come running at you, just kind of steps out into the clearing and looks at you all and says, How did you get here exactly?
We don't actually know. You wouldn't happen to have seen us arrive, would you?
No, my friend actually found you and came and got me. You can come out now. They're not gonna hurt us. Oh, are you sure? Oh, okay. And coming out on one of the branches above you is a bird armadillo. And the bird armadillo kind of, looks down at you from its branch and says, "Oh, okay. Yeah, so I found you all here, and you're humans, right? You shouldn't be here."
No, we really shouldn't. And no offense to your lovely home that I'm sure is just a delight. We don't really want to be here. So if you could help us find our way out.
It's gonna have a roll, but I don't think there's a need to roll here. So I think the two spirits look at one another and they kind of nod and say, "Well, we don't know how to get you home ourselves, but we do know a very old wise man that possibly could."
There was a fourth person with us.
Oh, no, it was just you three. I never found a fourth one.
And for a second, forgetting the mythical creatures before them, Lou will turn to Amarok and Shazo and say, "Is it possible she didn't get pulled in?"
Anything's possible, really. I'm completely out of my depth here, not to make a waterbending joke.
Standing up, dusting off his legs, Shazo will turn to the others and simply say, "Our first priority should be to get out of here. We have to get back."
Well, then, Oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't often get to talk to people.
And Lou will just sort of look at Shazo and straight up say, "I won't leave until I'm certain Ying isn't in here."
And how do you intend to be certain she's not here?
I don't know. But maybe this wise person will have some answers along that vein as well.
Then we should go to them.
And the bear frog kind of just looks between you all, making sure it's okay to say something now. And when he gets the right vibe, he says, "Okay, now I can say something. Yes, if you'll follow me, I'll take you to see him." And assuming you do, it's one of those strange sensations where you begin walking, but then you arrive at your destination. You don't really remember the journey between point A and point B. It almost seems to happen in less than a second. But when you arrive, you're now at a tea party. As in, there's a grand table. There's a number of spirits seated around the table with tea saucers, tea cups, pitchers of water and other various liquids, tea, of course. There's some cakes, there's, some spirit apples, but rising to meet you from the head of the table is someone that you're going to know out of character. And in character, what you see is a somewhat tubby man. He has a very nice, well-kept, long sort of Fu Manchu, a little bit of a parted haircut that's been stylized in classic Fire Nation fashion. And he comes up to you and says, "Well, now, I haven't seen such lost children in quite a long time. My name is Iroh, and hopefully I can give you the answers that you seek."
I only have 3 questions. Where are we? Where is Ying? And how do we get home?
Well, my friends, you are in the spirit world, a place that I have journeyed to long ago and fell in love with. Now I keep a tea party here, and as you can see, the spirits quite enjoy it. And some of the spirits from the table kind of speak up and hear, and raise their glasses and things like that. And Iroh kind of smiles and laughs "Oh, it brings this old soul good feeling to know that I am valued here." But no, to answer your second question, this Ying character of yours, is she the Dark Avatar?
Truth be told, I don't know. I don't know if any of us know, but I know she's an avatar.
Well, let me clarify then. Did she perhaps glow orange a little bit?
And Lou will look at Amaruk and Shazo and...
Kind of a whitish orange before she started levitating and bending all the elements and
eyes
and carving a swath of destruction through a logging camp. Yes.
Then I have good news. I actually spoke with your friend a short time ago. It's hard to keep track of time here, but I can assure you that she is safe and that she's actually headed towards the Tree of Time at the moment. And that actually answers your third question. There are 4 spirit portals you could use around the Tree of Time to get back home, and only an avatar is capable of opening them.
How long ago did she leave?
Oh, as I said, it's very difficult to keep track of coherent time here. Sometimes we have a good party and it seems to last for years, and then other times we barely sit down and the table is empty once again.
Catch up with her.
Well, in the spirit world, sometimes desire is the quickest way to find your way to what you're looking for.
I thought you had to abandon all desire if you wanted to achieve true balance. Isn't that what the Avatar had to achieve when he unlocked all of his chakra?
There are many ways to spiritual enlightenment and balance. And it is actually a good thing that I met your friend Ying, and that I have a moment to talk with you. You're going to be facing a lot of trials when you get out of here, and I do believe you will get out of here. There are going to be people that tell you that darkness is something to be contained, something to be destroyed or otherwise eradicated, but one cannot exist without the other. You must have light to have dark, and dark to have light. And if all you see when you go to look for dark is the evil, as many would tell you, then that's all you will ever see. But light is just as pervasive. Too much light is just as bad as too much dark.
I have a 4th question now.
Oh, please.
Is that jasmine tea?
Oh, it is some of the finest I've been able to concoct in many, many years. Would you like some?
And he'll just consider for a moment, turn to his friends. I know we have to find Ying, but now that we know she's safe, do you think we've got time for a cup?
Shaking his head no.
Amaruk is just going to take a look at the platter of various different foodstuffs. Presumably there are some sandwiches there.
Oh, yeah.
And she'll make a wide sweeping gesture towards the sandwiches and throw on an overly large grin. Come on, Xiaozhou, there are sandwiches here. I'm sure that they have all manner of spirit food that you've never been able to experience in your life. Don't you want to take the time to savor it? Live life to its fullest, like you're always saying?
My mother warned me about the spirit world. To eat of its food is to become lost in it, just like this fat man.
It is a funny rumor, but not quite one without basis in reality. Oh, I mean, of course, the food is safe. You will not be trapped here if you eat it, but let's just say that, and he pats his stomach, I used to have a six-pack, I worked very hard on it way back before well, that's a long story. I probably won't bore you with that, but needless to say, I have gotten a little bit tubby.
Xiaozhou, if you're afraid of becoming trapped in the spirit world, you're already trapped. Our fears are the things that confine us more than any cage ever really could. It's the ones we construct for ourselves that are most damning.
I'm not afraid of being trapped here. I will not drink of its water or eat of its food. I'll be fine.
I think Iroh just turns to Lu Songshi and Amaruk and motions at the table if you are so willing.
I'll just grabs a cup, just pours himself some tea, just for the journey.
And bowing slightly, Amaruk will just amass some of the food and tuck it away in some satchels to take for the journey.
All right. Lu Songshi, very, very important roll here. I need you to actually roll me a push your luck here. So if you could give me a passion, please.
All right.
And this isn't what you're thinking. I know I've got D&D veterans here where it's like, oh, it's the Feywild. You're not supposed to eat or drink or do anything. It's not a bad thing. It's just whether or not something happens is what this passion roll is for.
Do we still have that +1?
You do, actually. You do have a +1 from chat, yeah.
I'm gonna use that. Thank you. Uh-oh. Okay.
So something is going to happen, but you're not going to be aware of it. So yeah, you taste the food, taste the drink, and it's actually the best tea and the best sandwich you've ever had in your life. It's phenomenal.
I think those rumors about if you eat of its food, you get stuck there. Maybe because it's actually the best thing I've ever had in my life.
You're done, though. Perhaps we should be moving on. Xiaozhou does look a little bit distraught.
Yes, let's go. Thank you, Master Iroh.
Oh, please, just Iroh is fine. But do come back if you ever need advice or assistance. My table is always welcome to lost souls.
I don't like that.
And I think he gives one of those Iroh laughs, which I cannot replicate for the life of me. And he goes to sit back down at the head of the table.
Well, shall we?
A last look over at Iroh and a bow. Amaruk will nod.
And right as you start to get away from the table, moving towards where you were told to go, because he gave you directions to where the Tree of Life is. But as you start to leave, he says, one more thing. If you ever see one of my descendants, tell them I'm happy. I don't think I really left a good impression when I came here.
How would we know them?
Let's just say they're going to have the spirit of fire within them, just like my nephew did. You'll know.
All right.
Really?
And as you're like, what does he mean? And as you continue to walk away, again, it's one of the strangest things in the spirit world. You think of where you're going, and next thing you know, you're there. So what you end up arriving at is almost I guess you would call it a wasteland, is the best way to start the description. There is this circular wasteland that is surrounded by a multitude of hills and mountain peaks and jagged kind of rocks jutting up from the earth. The ground itself is a dark blue with swirls of crystal clear yet neon blue glowing rivers that snake and chaotically go throughout the landscape. And on each of the 4 compass points, or basically north, south, east, west, there are glowing pillars that are projecting up into the sky. In the middle of this wasteland is a tree, and it is a gnarled trunk that is the most ancient thing you have ever seen in your entire life. And even though it does not possess branches with leaves or any form of greenery on it, you can tell that this tree is, well, to put it simply, there's a reason they call it the Tree of Life. And as you sort of look over this landscape and you look and scan, you see in the distance near the tree itself, you do see a figure. You can't quite make out what the figure is or who they are, but you do see a humanoid figure approaching the tree.
And I think at that, Amaruk would just call out to them.
Anything in particular you want to call out?
It would just be basically, hello over there, Amaruk. It's Amaruk and Xiaozhou and Lu Shangxi, or do you know us?
The figure stops, turns, and kind of does one of those overhand wave motions with their hand.
So a beckoning call, or
Something like that, yeah.
could be Ying.
Best lead so far. Let's go.
So as you hop down from the parapet, that's the word. The perimeter is the word I want. As you hop down from the perimeter, and you begin to approach the Tree of Life, after a few moments of walking, you do actually confirm it is Ying. And Ying looks fine. She doesn't have any injuries. Her clothing is fine. Nothing is amiss with her, other than her expression. Her expression is one of a deeply troubled individual. And as you get within polite talking distance, she actually kind of steps back and says, I would be careful. I'm a little scared of hurting you. I don't know what I am or why I am.
I think we all know, or we all have an idea of what you are. But more importantly than that, I know who you are. I'm not afraid of you.
Now, do you stay where you are as you say that, or do you take a step forward?
You need to start taking the first couple of steps forward.
All right, because then Ying is going to kind of do one of those stay away yells, and a blast of air is going to push you back, not completely off your feet, but just back a few steps. And the moment you catch your balance, she says, I'm sorry, I can't control it. I don't even know how to control water all that well.
Why did you bring us here? Xiaozhou will shout at her.
I didn't mean to. I got angry and things happened.
Just putting a hand to Xiaozhou's shoulder to try to hold him back, Amaruk will shout out to Ying. None of us knew how to control our bending when we were born. We grew into it. The same thing is happening with you. You just have to learn. Find a teacher. None of us are really equipped to do that, but we will help you. That's all we want.
I think that's going to be a roll. I think that's going to be a roll. Go ahead and do a comfort and support here. And that's going to be harmony, please.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you do not have a +1 at the moment, but maybe Chad will jump in at any moment here. Who knows?
I'd like to assist if I can.
Sure. All you have to do is mark a fatigue, and they get a +1.
Marking a fatigue.
Actually, I believe we do because there was a +1 from
No, the one you just got. The one you just got
I
from
used
Drill
it.
is the newest one. But thank you, Drill.
Oh.
Thank you. So yeah, that's I believe that's a +2 on top of whatever modifiers you have on Harmony.
So that would be a hit.
Okay. So I think because there's a choice here, they either open up to you, or they mark a condition and you get +1 forward against them. I think for narrative purposes, they are actually going to mark angry, and you're going to get a +1 forward on future rolls against Ying. But again, Ying is, you guys are kind of on that young adult, sort of like young 20s, late teens, you're kind of on that precipice. Ying is probably not the most mature individuals, so she's being a little childish, is how I would qualify it. But she again just sort of shouts back, "You don't understand. I can't be the Avatar. I'm nothing special. I'm just a girl. I can't be this bridge between the worlds or the peacekeeper between spirits. I can't be any of this. I can't."
Avatar Aang was just a boy before he began his journey. Avatar Roku was just a boy before he began his journey.
And look how each of them ended up. Roku got stabbed in the back, and Aang basically got his childhood torn from him. How do I know that? Why do I know that? She kind of starts gripping her head. Why do I know that?
I think hand to her throat at the betrothal necklace. Amaruk is going to shout back, "You don't have to be anything other than what you are or who you are. If you don't want to train, if you don't want to follow that path, your destiny is your own to write. It doesn't have to be forced on you. You don't have to be what others tell you you should be, or you... We're here for you as a person, not as a destiny."
All right. So I'm going to let you make the call here. I think this could be a plead. I think this, again, could be another comfort and support. It's still both harmony, but sometimes plead has something better than comfort and support. It really determines what you're looking for here, I suppose.
I think that Wolf wants to interject something.
Yeah, what do you got, Wolf?
So, after Amrok is done with her speech, Shazo, fists clenched, looking down in anger, looks up, tears in his eyes, and screams, "They might be here for your destiny, but you robbed me of mine when you brought us here."
I get. And actually, let me just very quickly confirm this is how it works, because I have to check. Yeah, she has responsibility as her principal, so I believe this is going to be a call someone out. So let me see. When you openly call someone out, name and roll with their principal. Okay? So they have to roll. Interesting. So this might be one of the very few opportunities that an NPC has to roll, if I'm reading the rules correctly. I might be misinterpreting, but I think she's got a roll here. All right.
Yeah, and Shazo's got to shift his balance away from center.
Yep. All right. Well, let's roll and see what happens.
So I shift it away from center?
Yeah, it can go either way from center. It just can't go towards center.
Cool.
All right. So, I'll just roll it manually because I don't think it works the same way for public sheets, but... All right, she gets an 8, which I think is still a shift. Let me confirm. On a 7 to 8, they challenge your view of the world in turn, mark a fatigue, or they shift your balance as they choose. Interesting. No, I think, again, the beauty of this system is we're basically reenacting an episode, and this is classic Avatar, in my opinion. So I think what's going to happen, Shazo, is as you scream about losing your destiny, Ying is going to shout back and go, "You were always so kept up with your own brother issues that you never stopped to think about the people around you. Just think, for one moment, what would have happened if we had just all snuck in, or we had all gone in as a group. It was you that needed to go and face your brother alone, and that's why we're here now, because of you." And I'm going to look at your balance, because I think I actually want to... Oh boy, I think I want to push you towards care, so let's put you back at center here.
Shazo's gonna scream back. How dare you? How dare you try to lay the blame on me? I am honor bound to do what I did. And he's gonna be marching towards her with his fist raised in rage, shaking it at her.
Okay. So... And again, we all know this has got to be melodramatic, so I think she's again going to use those air blasts on you. I'm going to let you make the call. You can either...
It's going to hit Shazo hard,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to tumble back and, fall on his face.
Okay.
Hard.
So mechanically, you can either mark a condition, or you can take 2 fatigue. Or you could shift your balance away from center again. Your choice.
I'm going to mark angry.
Okay. And just remember, angry does, I think, give a -2 to harmony, if I remember correctly.
Comfort and support.
Yep. All right, so again, you get blown back a little bit by these air blasts, and I think as Shazo, you're recovering, Ying now turns to Lu Songshi, who hasn't said much so far, and is going to be kind of giving you not quite those puppy dog eyes, but the tell me something to help me eyes.
Amarok is right. You decide how you live your life. And that starts right now. You and Shazo can play the blamed game as long as you want. It ends when you say it does. It ends when you choose. And whether or not you want to be the Avatar, you are the only one who can get us out of here.
All right. Well, same offer I made for Matthew. You can either do a plead here, or you can do a comfort and support.
I will try a comfort and support.
All right. That's going to be a harmony roll.
Here we go.
Yeah, there's something going on with Foundry tonight. It's a little laggy tonight, so... A miss. All right, so let me just double
assist
check.
with that, considering that
how,
I
yes.
was... That's a good question.
I mean, I think everything that she said and the fact that I'm calling back to that, maybe we could...
Yeah, that's a fair argument. I'll just, again, mechanically, I would just require a fatigue mark. That's all I would require.
Okay.
All right. So with the 7, they again have the option of either taking a condition and you get a +1 forward, or they're going to open up to you. And I think, as interesting as it might be to get you guys into an actual fight with Ying, I don't see a narrative reason. Yeah, I think she's, she's upset. She's lashing out, but she's not stupid. She knows that you are just trying to help. So I think she's going to sort of fall to her knees, and much like Shazo did earlier in the session, is just going to openly weep.
And I think as soon as it was clear to do so, Amarok would cross the distance between them, and as best as possible, given that she's so diminutive relative to the Avatar, is going to just give her a hug.
Okay.
And I think Lu then would actually cross the distance to Shazo and sort of take him by the arm and bring him to his feet.
He's a monster.
Nobody's born that way. Other people make them that. Don't be part of the reason that prophecy comes true.
Shazo will look away from his friend and say nothing more.
So, that's
I was
where we're
gonna
going to
say
take
that-
our 5 to 10. Oh, what do you got before we take our 5 to 10
I was
minute
just
break?
going
What
to
do you
say
got?
that as she's sort of hugging Ying, Amaruk is just going to continually repeat that you don't have to be what they tell you have to be. You get to choose. This is your choice, and whatever it is, we're going to support you in it. And she'll just sort of reiterate that as a kind of refrain, allowing Ying to cry.
That is where we'll take our 5 to 10 minute break. We'll be back shortly. Stick around. All right, and welcome back. You might have noticed, for those of you watching the video, that Wolf's had to step out. He just wasn't feeling well, so we'll have Shazo be the kind of brooding, silent, quote-unquote, angry companion at the moment, because that's kind of what he was before break, so we're going to roll with that. So we're going to resume probably maybe about 5-10 minutes later, after Ying has finally sobbed her last sob for the moment. And, you know, she kind of wipes the tears out of her eyes, and if Amaruk is willing, you know, kind of helps her up to her feet, and she kind of, I guess we need to establish this. Amaruk, she looks down at you, I suppose, is what it is.
Absolutely. I think she looks down at all of us, actually.
Fair enough. So she looks down at you and very cautiously kind of gives you like a one-armed hug, but due to the height difference, it's more like she's just kind of like giving your head a hug, and she's like, thanks. Oh, I hope Shazo's not going to be too mad with me. And we see in the distance Shazo just kind of yelling at the environment and generally being angry.
He gets angry at a lot of things. It's the nature of fire. It'll burn itself out eventually.
Right. So I guess, I mean, if you're both here, then, or if you're all here, then you spoke with Iroh, right?
Lovely man, yes. Yes, he mentioned you.
Cool. Because he said the answers that I was seeking would be found here at the Tree of Time. And she kind of turns and points at the Tree of Time. I don't know what I'm supposed to find here.
We're supposed to find.
I think that's the nature of searching. Because you only know what it is once you found it.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, I think I see where he's going with this. That
I thought
it's
that was
the journey, not the destination. I think that's what he's trying to say.
No, that's much better as an articulation of the principle that he's attempting to discuss.
I was trying to sound like what I thought the old man would say about this, but I'm gonna stop
Did he give you the whole light and dark thing too? Because he did that to me, and I felt really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Not alone.
Now that made a lot of sense, though. I mean, that there's good to be found even in something that's corrupt, that has to be teased out or brought out of it. It's resonated.
Yeah. Let's check out this tree, I guess. And she starts to circle the tree clockwise. Again, Shazo is just going to be in the background for now, but would you two also go clockwise with Ying, or would you go counterclockwise, or where are you guys moving at this juncture?
I think that Lou would move with her.
Okay. Likewise, okay. So, again, for those who have never seen the Tree of Time before, this is slight spoilers for Korra Season 2, but when you get to the front of the tree, where Vaatu is supposed to be, out of character knowledge, Vaatu is not there. So normally, for those who have seen the series, you might know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, the Tree of Time is basically where Vaatu, the quote-unquote embodiment of evil and darkness, is supposed to be imprisoned, more or less. But all that is there in the knot in the tree is just an open, sort of almost like a veranda where you can kind of climb in and just be among the tree, if you follow where I'm going with this. And that's where Ying goes. She kind of climbs up the tree, kind of gets into the center of the little hole in the tree and kind of looks up and around and goes, I don't know why, but I feel like I've been here before. Can't really say why, though.
I mean, all of us go through the cycle of reincarnation, avatar, and, well, regular bender or non-bender alike. Could you have been here in a past life?
And then she starts to answer, but then a different voice that's not quite hers answers for her. So it's kind of one of those things where she starts to say something in her normal voice and then a new voice takes over. This one is decidedly masculine. This one is decidedly sort of reverbing. And I was going to do voice mod for this, but in testing, the voice mod was way too loud and I didn't have time to mess with it. So just imagine that same sort of reverberating in your head, filling the atmosphere voice that Vaatu has from the series. And they say, this one is different. This one is one of mine. And of course, Ying opens her mouth, closes it, and then motions at her mouth and then her ears like, did you hear that? And as she motions, almost if you will imagine like a little parrot or a bird on the shoulder, coming out of her collarbone is just this tiny little projection of a black, almost jellyfish-like spirit that doesn't quite leave her body, just kind of peeks up. And again, if you've seen Korra, it's the Vaatu spirit that kind of peeks up out of the shoulder. And Vaatu, who we know out of character, says, I can tell that you're lost, and frankly, I can understand why. Perhaps I should let you ask the questions, and I will answer rather than me pontificating at you. Rava has rubbed off on me a little bit.
I guess just examining the entity from various different angles, trying to ascertain something about the markings that are adorn its front. Amaruk is just going to reach out a finger and try to poke at it.
Hey, I'm Vaatu, Lord of all darkness, embodiment of chaos, and I think what happens is Ying just says, stop it, and kind of swats at her shoulder, and there's that comical moment where they're like swatting at each other, and it's the most absurd thing you've ever seen in your life. Like, this is a serious situation, but it's also one of the weirdest ones you've ever been a part of.
So, Ying is the Avatar. The Dark Avatar.
Well, yes, when Avatar Aang passed away, there was a fracture in my prison in this place, and kind of like black tendrils kind of motion around at the Tree of Life. And in that moment, I sought a vessel that has been prepared for over... There's a pause. 10 millennia, almost. You lose track of time in here. Ironic.
So, there are 2 Avatar cycles, really?
Now that I have been released from my prison, yes.
And stepping forward, Amaruk is just going to raise a finger. Forgive me if this is, cutting to the chase a little bit, as it were, but the Avatar's responsibility is to bring balance, whatever that entails. What's yours?
If you'll believe it, balance. But not in the way Rava would want it. It's why we always disagreed, why we fought, why there was a great conflict between the two of us, because what I view as balance and what she views as balance are entirely different things. She would see the world consumed by light and order, whereas I would prefer something more natural, something where spirits and man can live together, Maybe a little bit of darkness, but there's nothing wrong with darkness.
The legends of what transpired when spirits and humans lived together are quite grim. There were curses and horrifying mutations.
Well, that hasn't changed. That still can happen, but you probably don't want to get possessed by a spirit. And Ying, like, frantically goes, "Oh no, you possessed me. Is this a bad thing?" Oh Lord, I can tell I've picked the wrong vessel.
Well, 10 millennia in the making. Clearly not.
Yes, I did say that, didn't I?
By the way, and she turns over to Ying, you look very good for your age. That's
No, I'm not actually
impressive.
10,000. No, I'm 19.
Oh.
How old did you think I was?
Well, 19 sounded reasonable, but he just said.
Fatu said 10.
I see. I see what you. Okay. And she, like, again kind of turns to look at her shoulder. Vatu, what do you mean the whole 10,000 years thing? Before I was imprisoned, wrongly, as I would protest, I had a bit of freedom from Rava. I had time to put plans into motion. Part of that plan was to create a family lineage that, if I were ever to escape my prison, again shaking a tendril at the tree of life around you, that I would be able to leave this place.
You really play the long game then. That's something else.
Are we gonna have to fight the Avatar?
Well, that depends on how prevalent Rava's teachings are in your world. Back at the beginning of our conflict, it was told to the Avatar of the time, what was his name, Wan, I believe? Avatar 1 was told that I would bring upon 10,000 years of darkness, or destroy the world, or whatever lies Rava told, and have probably become knowledge, quote-unquote, in your world. I don't want to destroy the world, I simply wish to change it. Now, if that change is something that the real Avatar, the quote-unquote light Avatar, is against, then the answer to your question is yes. You would have to fight the Avatar.
You know, Master Yera's overreaction to us and Ying leaving kind of makes sense now.
Given that the White Lotus seems to be using drugs on a vast scale to suppress people's bending, control them, manipulate them, yes, the Dark Avatar would represent, well, anathema, something that would undermine the entire system of structured organization and control that they put into place.
And I think Vatu does like a tendril pointing directly at you, Amarok, and says, "You're onto something there. Tell me, do you think this White Lotus organization is a force of good?"
I don't know what to think anymore. I used to. But I guess I just ran from one prison to another.
Well, I mean, we could step outside the Tree of Life if you don't want to talk in here, but...
Oh no, that's a good point. I ran from one prison into another prison into a third prison. So maybe everything is just prisons within prisons.
And I think there's, again, like a comical moment where Vatu looks at Ying and Ying looks at Vatu and they go, eh.
So, and she's just going to turn over to Lu Shangxi. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that this isn't easy for me to admit, but I think that I have no idea what I'm doing. And I do not have the answer. But
Well, whatever answer you wish to have, you need to find it quickly. And Ying kind of looks and says, he was having a moment. Why'd you interrupt? Because you need to look outside of the tree. And Ying does that thing where you all look at each other and then you all turn to look outside of the tree. There is... So, again, narratively, Shazo is somewhere safe. He's not going to be involved in this fight, but what you see is 3 dragon eels spirits. So kind of that spirit we see a few times in Korra, sort of that fusion between dragon and eel. And there's 3 of them, but they're not normal spirits, you know, kind of that slightly translucent spirit that you can see through. These are glowing white, as if they have been infused their entire essence full of light. It's almost like looking at them is looking at the sun itself, and there's 3 of them. And they are rapidly and aggressively flying towards the Tree of Life.
we should probably go.
About my spirit bending, nascent though it might be, I absolutely agree.
And Vatu says, "Whatever you do, I can only speak to you when we're within the tree. Otherwise, she must enter the avatar state in order to speak." And he kind of turns to look at Ying. "You got this, kid." And Vatu goes back into her shoulder, disappears from sight, and Ying kind of shivers and goes, "Oh, that was weird. That was really, really weird."
All right. Iroh said that this tree is a nexus. From here, we can go to any of the spirit portals that we choose. We can go back anywhere where the spirit world is thin.
And, you know, she pokes her head out of the tree and looks at the pillars of light. Okay, that's going to take us to the South Pole. That's going to take us to the North Pole. I don't know where the East and West ones go.
Amarok, do you still have your map?
Well, I don't really have a map of the spirit world, if that's what you're asking.
Do you have a map of the real
map
world?
Of the real world, yes,
Our
of
world.
course, yes. And she'll just rummage about in her pack and pull out a map and splay it open.
Yeah, let's put everyone on the world map so we can look at the same thing.
And,
All right, so let me see. Yes, this is the full map. Carry on.
And I think Lou is going to just sort of stab his finger at the Eastern Air Temple and say, "Let's hope it goes there."
That seems like an unnecessary risk, and she just sort of looks at the encroaching dragons of order, I suppose, luminous and radiant in the sky. Seems like a better plan than staying here.
All right. Okay, and this is you guys leaving the tree and starting to head to the east. Ying says, "All right, so I think I know what to do once we get to the spirit portal thing itself, but I'm gonna need like a few moments. So can you guys? Oh, you guys can't bend. Wait a second. Have either of you eaten anything from here?
Yes.
Okay, then you could probably bend."
And Lou's just gonna stomp on the ground to see if he can get a little
pillar
bolt
comes
of-
up. Yeah.
And yeah, he just sort of uncharacteristically maybe cracks his knuckles and says, "You'll have the time you need."
It's awesome. Okay. I'll try to be quick.
And Amarok then is just going to start like rummaging through her pack to try to pull out those sandwiches that she had taken earlier. She pulls out, if they're still there, these crumpled, mangled pieces of bread that have been sort of smushed together with the rest of the contents. So it's more like a slurry or paste. Just size and
I bet it's still going to be really good.
Faced.
That's actually still a really good sandwich. I mean, the texture's weird, but it's still a good sandwich.
Wow. That's amazing. If I wasn't in mortal peril for my life, I'd want to go back and ask Iroh for the recipe, but...
All right. So we are going to enter into a series of exchanges here. Basically, your goal is every single turn, Ying's action in the exchange is going to be either get you guys closer to the portal or to open the portal itself. So Ying is not technically going to be taking a turn, but Ying is still going to be a potential target from the dragon eels, just so you know. But yeah, since it has been a while, I'll just give everyone a reminder. The way it works when we come to exchanges is you pick one of the three: defend and maneuver, advance and attack, evade and observe, and then we go in order. And when you choose your combat approach, you then roll with a certain roll, and based on that roll, you then get to choose a number of techniques based on how many successes you have on that roll, kind of a thing. So let's start with Lu Songshi. Lu Songshi, which approach are you going to take?
He will use defend and maneuver.
All right. And Amrik, which one are you going to take?
I was actually going to do the same.
All right. So you two are actually going to go first. I'll let you two decide who goes first.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, Lu Songshi, you're going to roll with focus here.
Focus. Just good. Here's hoping I don't roll another miss.
Yeah, miss would be kind of bad. No, you get a full hit. All right, so what this means is you can use two techniques here. And they don't have to be from the three in that listing under Defend and Maneuver. You again have special actions that I think the Guardian has for Defend and Maneuver.
Yeah. So I am going to use two. And the first one I'm going to use is seize a position.
Okay.
And basically, as Ying is trying to get us closer or open the portal, Lu will move up to block the approach of these eel dragons and sort of force them to come past him to get at Ying, who I imagine is probably their target.
Right. So if you'll let me build on that. So maybe it's something where you kind of, as you're all running, you maybe hop to the side for a moment and you slam your feet down and two walls of earth come up and almost funnel them towards
funnel
you.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Love it. All right. So they are going to be focused on you for their attacks.
And
for this.
The second, I'm going to use retaliate.
All right. So every time a foe inflicts a fatigue, a condition, or shifts your balance, they also get a fatigue. Nice. All right. Amrik, what do you got?
So it's roll with focus?
It does roll the focus, yeah. And you do have, by my count, you have a +2 from chat at the moment.
May as well use that.
I'll take one.
Ooh,
Another full hit. Again, you get 2.
Okay. Then I will also take seize a position.
Mm-hmm.
Unhooking a small collapsible baton from her belt, she is going to extend it into a combat staff, and then sort of gliding using the water around her. She's going to move forward. So using that sort of ice water skating technique, she's going to call forth that the water, what is it, like, is it vermilion water or purplish water?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Surrounding them, and move forward to a strategically advantageous position, probably on some kind of rocky outcropping, and then attempt to use her water bending to create funnels in the air as the dragons are coming down to redirect their paths away from the Dark Avatar.
Got it. So let's build on that as well. So again, Lu Songshi gets up those great walls of earth, and then you, almost like a tidal wave, you come cresting atop those rocks and form these great watery pillars that further funnel the dragon eels towards the two of you instead of Ying. So that seize a position. What are you doing for your second defend and maneuver?
I think I'll go for ready. So mark 1 fatigue to ready yourself or your environment, assigning a fictionally appropriate status to nearby foes.
Mhm.
And the status that I would like to inflict would be,
Well, remember,
perhaps-
you can also assign one to yourself if you wish. Now, a classic one, if I can make a suggestion, would be the prepared one, because prepared would give you a +2 you could take at any roll, or you could use it to avoid marking a condition.
Yeah, so I think I will take prepared, and that's just narrowing focus on the incoming entities and sort of being ready in that position to deflect them properly.
Right. Well, it's a good thing that you guys have taken a ready and retaliate, because the dragon eels are going for a special version of strike here. So as they open their maws wide, basically it's almost like a Pokemon Hyper Beam, where there's just a ball of light that builds up, and then it lances out towards both of you. I'm going to need each of you to roll me a focus here. And it's going to be sort of like a D&D thing, where if you succeed, you're going to take half the fatigue. If you fail, you're going to take the full fatigue, kind of a thing.
Hey.
All right, a full hit. All right, you're going to be taking half. Amarok is going to be taking full. So, Amarok, how much fatigue do you have right now?
I have 4 remaining. Actually,
remaining.
no, because I had 3 remaining because I had to mark a fatigue earlier.
Okay, so you have to make a call here, because they are going to inflict 4 fatigue on you as a group. So, as a reminder, since I got it wrong the first time, which Reddit pointed out, thank you, Reddit, you can mark a condition instead of taking a point of fatigue, if I remember the rules correctly, which I might still be wrong. Feel free to correct me. But remember, once your fatigue is filled up, and once your conditions are filled up, that's when you're out of the scene. So you have to at least mark 1 condition here, but you could potentially take more if you so wished.
Then, what is it? So I would be taking 4 fatigue?
It would be 4 fatigue, correct. And Lu Song-Shu would be taking 2, just for reference.
Okay. And then if I mark the condition, that cancels out 1 of the fatigue?
Yeah, let me double check that, because I don't want to, needlessly hinder you here. Let me actually pull up the full rules instead of the handouts. But I'm
So I thought it
pretty
was
sure
2 fatigue, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, let me look. It might be 2 fatigue. Let me double check. All right, let's see. Fatigue. Okay, here we go. Nope, not what I want. Conditions. I know it's here. All right, maybe I'm just blind. I'm looking at page 16, which is where I thought it would be. But I'm not seeing... Aw. All right, let me just make a call in the moment that we'll do it 1-to-1 for now, and if it ends up being 2-to-1 later, we'll just do it the correct way next time.
So I'll take 2 fatigue, and I'll mark 2 conditions, but the prepared allows me to avoid one of those conditions, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take angry.
Okay.
And you see as that blast sort of decimates some of the outcropping, the rocky outcropping that she was standing on, as she sort of leaps to the side and uses that gliding technique to avoid it. She's showered with sparks and the detritus and rubble that emerges from the explosion. She sort of begins tumbling and then snarls as she rises up to face the creatures again.
And
Got it.
also, so did they both attack?
All 3 attack. That was them 3 attacking together.
Yeah, so they'll each take 1 point of fatigue from my retaliate, as the one in the middle, a sort of rock pillar comes up in its midsection, and the 2 on the ends, the sort of outer walls. Basically, I'm sort of picturing it like Lou will be using the sort of leading edge of this barrier as they move in, and that leading edge becomes redundant. He'll use that as further means to attack. So each of the outer ones sort of get knocked about the head and sort of upper section by falling rubble.
I love it. All right. So now it's going to be Ying's turn, and Ying, I think, is going to basically do Evade and Observe, which for her, that is going to be a special move on her part, but basically, she's going to do something with airbending where she's going to pull you guys closer towards the portal, but she's not going to disturb your footing. So it's one of those kind of more advanced airbending techniques that, again, she has no airbending training. How is she doing this? But apparently she knows enough to do this. But it's one of those things where it's almost like you're sliding on ice, but without that fear of losing your balance, if you follow me. But at this point, you guys have gotten pretty close to the portal. Ying kind of shouts that she's going to say, all right, I'm going to start opening it. And we enter into another exchange. So do you guys want to stay with Defend and Maneuver? You want to mix it up?
I think at this point, Matthew, if I'm speaking for you, just let me think. But since Amaruk is angry, is it safe to assume that you'll be using advance and attack?
Yes.
So
Yes.
then Lou will use evade and observe.
Okay. All right. So
I'll
if
clear
you're
one
advancing
fatigue.
attacking Amaruk and Lusong Shi, you're evading observing, the dragon spirits, the dragon eel spirits, are again going to advance and attack, because that's what they do. So you're going to get to go first, Amaruk, but just remember, you've got 3 very angry dragon eels that are about to probably unleash that same attack towards you. So you're going to roll with passion here, since you're advancing and attacking. Full hit, you get 2.
So I guess first I will use strike.
Okay.
So I guess at the closest dragon eel, she is going to use the momentum from that maneuver that was performed by Ying, and in conjunction with her own waterbending, creating one of those little tornadoes or spouts that allows her to launch herself into the air, she's going to lash out at the creature's head to try to disperse it using a twisting kick towards its head.
I like it. And I tell you what, it only has 3 fatigue, so it's going to go poof into the ether. It's almost like when you hit it, it turns into golden particles that get blown away on the wind.
Okay.
So that's 1 dragon eel down. There are still 2 more.
Okay. And then pressure. Impress or intimidate a foe. Choose an approach. Your foe cannot use that approach in the next exchange. So that would be an approach like advance and attack, correct?
Correct, yeah. And it's not this exchange, it's the next one, just to be
Yes.
super sure on that. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So then as she lands, sort of coming down from that kick, she'll conjure up a globe of water, break it apart into pieces, and then hurl a series of icicle shards towards the creature in this swirling maelstrom of ice and snow, and try to destabilize it and ward it off.
Okay. So you want them to not, I'm guessing, advance and attack next exchange?
Yes, so it's essentially been put on the back foot and it won't have the opportunity to advance.
Got it. All right. Well, the good news is that their special move actually is reduced because there's now 2 of them rather than 3. So if you could roll focus for me once again, Amaruk and Lusong Shi, we're going to see how well you guys do.
And we do have +2. Just
Yes, you do, by my count, yeah. So I'll let you guys decide if you want to use those +2s or...
Nope.
I just rolled naturally.
Okay. All right. So in that case, that's a hit. That's a hit. So you're each going to take just 1 fatigue. But the caveat to that is, as you kind of weather this blow, this light beam a little bit better, you notice that your footing has been knocked off balance, as in the ground beneath you is starting to crumble and shatter and otherwise give way to like potholes almost in a way. So you are only going to take the 1 fatigue, but I'm also going to inflict the impaired status on each of you. And what impaired means is you can either mark a fatigue, or you can take a -2 to all physical actions.
I will mark the afraid condition from the damage in order to avoid that fatigue. Otherwise, that would bring me to 5 fatigue.
Okay. Well, you can get to 5 fatigue. You're not out when you hit 5 fatigue. It's when your fatigue is full and your conditions are full. That's when you're out.
Okay. Then I'll take the fatigue then.
Okay. All right. What about you, Lu Songshi? Are you going to take the fatigue?
Yep, I'll take the fatigue.
All right. Well, we roll around to Lu Songshi because you're up next.
All right, so I'm going to roll with creativity. And
Okay.
Matthew, if it's all right with you, I'm going to use that +2.
Go for it.
And that is all chat after this. After that, we've used all of chat. So yeah, that's an 8. You get to pick one.
So the one that I am going to pick is bolster or hinder, and Lou is going to bolster Amaruk. And so as he loses his footing, he sort of comes down on his hand, slaps the ground, and Amaruk, you feel the ground sort of firm up beneath your feet as you're sort of raised on a little platform to give you a more advantageous position. And you are going to be given the favored status. So that means you get an additional basic or master technique in the next exchange, even on a miss.
Very nice. Love it. As a devil's deal, I would say that you could also just get rid of their... Oh, they marked fatigue. They didn't take impaired. Carry on.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you had impaired still, I would have offered to get rid of impaired, but neither here nor there.
Honestly, yeah, I'd say probably the prepared condition could negate impaired, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, neither here nor there.
Neither here. One of those idle musings. But no, favored is perfectly fine. I love it. All right, so on Ying's turn, she's going to interface with the pillar of light that's projecting into the sky. And if any of you were to turn and look, you see her hand glowing a same sort of dark, baleful orange as she touches the pillar. And the pillar begins to turn that same orange that she's projecting. And she kind of calls back and says, "I think it's working! Hold them off just a little bit more!" And yeah, the final exchange. Which approach would you each like to take?
Honestly, I feel like I haven't ever done this one, so I'm going to use advance and attack.
Love it.
I think that Amaruk would be doing the same, caught up in that momentum of combat.
All right. So, interestingly, the two creatures are both going to evade and observe, so you guys get to go first.
Okay, and that's roll with passion, correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right. Oh, no.
Doesn't get that. So, what I would say is, because I don't think this has come up, you can shift your balance away from center to use one technique. Also, chat just gave you +1, so I'm going to say that +1 didn't come in before the roll, so got to keep things interesting. Got to push you guys a little
guess,
bit.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna push myself off center. One more towards self-reliance.
Okay.
And we'll just use I think smash.
Smash?
So
All right.
I'll mark a fatigue, which brings me up to 5.
Noted.
We'll mark a fatigue, and I'm going to inflict a negative status on one of those eels, I suppose. I think I can only affect one thing at a time.
Tell you what, I mean, if you let me spin the fiction a little bit, I think it's one of those things where maybe you like you slam the ground with your hands, and the walls, the little canyon you've made, collapses inward and traps both of the spirits.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll give them the
Yeah, I would say I would just give them the trap condition or status on that. So I think that works well.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah, so Amaruk, you again see the avalanche fall down and more or less trap these spirits in the rocks themselves. Do you still wish to advance and attack, or would you like to do something else?
I think that because she has the condition of angry marked, she's going to see the creatures that are functionally helpless and press forward, trying to lash out at them despite that.
All right.
So,
Well, you're going to roll with passion.
Yes, indeed.
And again, that's a miss. Well, you could add the +1 from chat. There is the +1 from chat if you really wanted it.
I do have the benefit of the action that was taken by Lu Shangxi last round, though. So even if I miss, I get to take one action.
That is correct, yes.
So I think that leaping forward, she is just going to try to bring down her staff, forging a kind of icicle-tipped spear at the end, and slam it down into the head, the writhing serpentine head of the creature that has been trapped within those rocks.
Right, so same thing that happened with the first one. As you stab the dragon eel in the head, it basically turns into golden powder that is blown away on the wind. And as Ying starts to finish her portal opening, the remaining creature, and I haven't done this voice in a very long time, so if it sounds like bad or if I blow out the mic, I apologize, but the creature kind of hisses and snarls and says, "You know not what you are doing. You are destabilizing the balance that we have all worked so hard to create. You humans, you do not understand what it is you do. You must return Vatu to the prison."
And just with icy indifference towards this creature, Emmerich is going to look down at it dismissively and with an air of contempt and just calmly say, "I don't care."
Well, the good news is, as you say that, the portal light comes completely orange at that point, and Ying says, "All right, ride's here. Where the hell is Shazo?" And she starts to...
Can I flavor this? Can we get
you go
Shazo
for it. You
with the
go for it.
portal?
Because eitherwise she's going to either airbend him over or you got it. So what do you got?
I'm going to, earthbend launch him, sort of the way that Toph used to do to...
yeah, I got you.
Sokka.
Yeah.
And he just sort of stamps in this sort of pillar at a 20 or 25 degree angle, just launches him straight through the portal.
And I think it's something where Shazo says, "I'm still angry at all of you." And he goes through the portal.
And then I'm gonna run for it.
All right. So you all run through the portal, and when you come on the other side, you're not in the Eastern Air Temple, but you're in the same mountain range, because you can see the Eastern Air Temple in the distance to the north, maybe about 10 kilometers. It's a fairly large air temple. You can see it from here. But it's about 10 kilometers away, and you're at the peak of what appears to be a otherwise shorn in half mountain, if you will. Almost like someone has taken a mountain and just sliced the top right off of it. And the portal is located directly in the middle of this space. But the moment all of you are through the portal, Ying turns around and slams her hands together, and the portal dissipates, and there's no longer a pillar of light. And she kind of turns to all of you and says... Ooh. She kind of turns and looks at all of you and says, "All right, we just sort of left my Shirshu back at... You think we can get in touch with that air nomad?"
There's probably a whole lot of air nomads right over that way.
She kind of looks at in the distance towards the Eastern Air Temple. "Yeah, I'm gonna have to hope so, because, well, maybe it's not so bad. I mean, my companion, I trained her that if I didn't show up for 3 days, she would come find me, and she's a Shirshu, so she can smell me no matter where I am in the world, so maybe..."
Can she swim?
Yeah, she could swim. She's a very good swimmer.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe. Yeah, okay. All right.
And as you all start to maybe group, I think Shazo says, I need time to myself, damn it. And he kind of roars with fire for a little bit, and he starts walking in the opposite direction of the Eastern Air Temple.
Amaruk is just going to collapse down to the ground, breathing quite heavily, uncorking the gourd that she has at her side to take a quick drink. What an infant.
And I think Lou will sort of collapse backwards a little bit, but as he does, there's just a tap of his foot and this stone stump comes up and breaks his fall as he's just sitting. He says, he'll need time. I'm not sure I understand what happened.
What happened is that he left us to die. He didn't even help at all.
Well, maybe so, but we still did it.
Yeah, we did. We fought, spiritually possessed spirits? Is that a thing?
I mean, I never thought that I'd be in Rava's crosshairs. I didn't think that Rava had the potential to be threatened or angry. I thought that was a human trait, a spirit trait. For somehow I thought she would be above that.
Well, lore tells us that spirits are mercurial creatures. They don't feel like us, but that doesn't mean they don't feel in their own way.
Well, Ying kind of crosses her arms, puts a hand to her chin, and goes, again, I think this is more Vantu sharing knowledge than me actually knowing, but isn't it a thing that sometimes spirits can turn dark if the emotions are too dark? Isn't that a thing, Amarok?
It is. If the people around it have disrupted the balance, then they can become outraged or influenced by the prevailing sentiments of whatever culture or people surround them.
So what would happen if a spirit got infused with too much light? Would we get the dragon eels we just faced?
You know, it reminds me of what Iroh said. Maybe I think we just witnessed firsthand that too much of anything is not necessarily a good thing. I mean, too much light can burn. The sun grows our crops, but if you stand under it for too long, it burns you. That's why we need night.
Speaking of night, I could really go for a nap.
Yeah, and she kind of looks after Shazo. You think he'll be all right?
Well, he'll be better off than us on this mountain being able to generate his own fire.
Fair point.
Yeah, let the baby go self-soothe. We'll be fine.
I wouldn't go so far to call him a baby. He did kind of interrupt his Agni Kai.
He put that Agni Kai ahead of all of our safeties.
And that's true, but and you can tell Ying is definitely feeling guilty, like she's kind of not meeting anyone's eye, and she's like, I think I probably spoke out of turn there. I mean, we let him do it. He asked if we could do it, and we let him because we believed in him, so I don't think it's his fault. If anyone's to blame, it's us.
It isn't anyone's fault. Fault comes when there's ill intent. Mistakes happen when you don't know all the information. We blame others. We put others at fault. But we learn from our mistakes, so let's learn from this one.
I think Ying looks directly at Amarok and says, I think I can do that. What about you, Amarok?
Maybe. She sighs and pats the package that she sort of took from the tent, the prismatic horn that's sort of stuffed away in her bag. Maybe I'm at fault here.
And what I would say is that now that you've checked your bag, I was waiting to see if you did. The bag is, if you were to open up just even a tiny sliver of it, a literal prismatic light show will come will come pouring out of the bag.
Yeah. And she's just gonna close the bag, pat it gently.
Hey, what was that? That was amazing.
She sighs and smiles, running a hand through her hair. That's why this is kind of my fault. I got distracted when I was looking for information. That's how I got caught.
And Ying, like a curious little puppy, says, well, what is it? I mean, can I see? And she kind of like tries to get around you to look into your bag if you'll let her.
And
I think...
Tries to pluck out the... Go ahead.
No,
No,
go.
go.
Because I was just gonna say that Lou sort of holds up his hand to her and just say, "Wait,
Okay.
you know,
Waiting.
we never got to enjoy that festival. We didn't get a chance to celebrate, so let's take the opportunity and do it now. Let's
Like, now?
Yeah, now. Let's gather what food we have between us.
She looks to her hammer. Is there anything left in you? Do you still have, well, I guess they're kind of just smushed sandwiches, but do you still have them?
And Amarok will go into that side pocket of her bag and pull out the half-eaten remnants of a few different sandwiches that have been sort of even further crushed and now mingled with a little bit of her own saliva.
Nice.
I mean, yes, I do, and I'm sure they'll still be delicious because they were wonderful sandwiches, but I don't know if you really want them.
No.
Well, then how about a light show? And Lou will sort of gesture to the bag.
And just sort of twiddling her fingers, she's going to reach down gently, peel open the bag. Presumably this prismatic light show again bursts forth.
Oh, yeah.
She'll hesitate for a moment and reach into her garment for a scrap of cloth, and then go back into the bag and daintily pluck out the stag's horn.
So it's not burning to the touch, but it's definitely got some heat to it. But as you pull out this prismatic stag's horn, it fills the sky with a light show that is very similar to the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights, except it's not the standard green that we have here on Earth. It is quite literally all of the colors, hence prismatic. Beautiful. And it fills the sky around you for kilometers around. And to anyone looking, they just see a light show. They just sort of see, wavy lines in the sky that sort of glitter and twirl and otherwise kind of mingle with the stars that have come out overhead. But for you all, maybe it means something a little bit more. And that's where we're going to end today's session. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I saw the chat was loving it so far. I know that was a little melodramatic there for a little bit, but a game like this, you got to have character development. You got to have a way for characters to have those moments like we see in the TV show. So I think we did a really good job of it, honestly. What did you guys think?
I had a wonderful time.
I enjoyed myself thoroughly.
Love it. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, we'll see you later.
Oh, are